Hello, everyone. I'm Becca, dietitian by trade, mom 24/7, wife from the start, and when there's a few extra hours in the day, you might find me hitting the trails or on horseback.
And I'm Kara, a therapist to women, a mom to a boy, an entrepreneur, mountain junkie, and a postpartum runner.
And this is Fit for a Queen, a podcast that's devoted to the female athlete wanting to balance the teeter-totter of all the things we desire out of life as women. Performance, health, intellect, and taking time for self, even if we only get 1 minute out of the day.
We're so excited to be bringing you the queens in the athletic world who have done just that. Okay, ladies, take a seat at your thrones, grab your crowns, and welcome to Fit for a Queen.
Welcome back, queens. We are excited. Today we have in studio my good buddy, Jason Belz.
Yay, welcome.
I am excited to be here.
We're
This
excited
is so
to have
weird.
you.
Like, I want to just wave at you.
I
And,
know, no touching.
yeah.
Yeah, so right now, if you hear this, we are in the midst of good old coronavirus, and we are
2020.
practicing our separation. I can't even talk. That's what happens.
Social distancing.
Thank you. And hygiene and all that. So don't worry, we're safe in the studios. So, but Jason, start with kind of giving us just a little bit of background. Obviously, I know you personally, but I want them to be able to hear your journey, why you got into fitness, and why you have the most awesome tagline ever. Oops, I gave away just a little bit of it. Okay.
Yeah, so I own a Greater U Performance Training. I've owned that for 5 years, going on 6 right now.
Nice.
Been in training fitness industry for almost 11 years now, which is crazy that I'm in double digits. But yeah, do you want me to go all the way back and start the story
let's
now?
hear about
Yeah,
the
let's do
story.
it.
Yeah.
All right, so I got into fitness really to help people transform, air quotes, was my goal, because it all started for me as a transformation from unhealthy restaurant worker, drugs. Mom's not listening. I don't think alcohol, overeating, not sleeping, like just as unhealthy as someone could be at 22 through 29 and a half. And so I was looking at 30 right in the eyes. It was scary. Fortunately, I was lucky enough to be working at a restaurant that had insurance at the time. So I was going to go to the doctor for, the first time in who knows how long.
Wow.
So
Having
it was,
that midlife crisis.
I know,
at
right?
30,
Right?
Was it really like, I'm turning 30, I need to get my shit together, or...
Kind of,
Yeah.
in a way. Like, I don't think I had that big moment, but so you guys will laugh at this, right? So that point in time, like Biggest Loser,
Yes.
like the dumbest show in the world, right?
Sure.
It wasn't
Very
dumb
popular,
yet
though.
in my life.
Could have been its height,
Yeah.
And it was at its height, and that's back when they used to have doctors come on and give you like your internal age. And I used to watch that show as an unhealthy person and be like, oh my God, I wonder what my internal age is.
Yeah.
And it had been so long since I've been to the doctor that I was kind of fearful that I was going to show up and they're going to be like, dude, you're 97. And I was going to be like, ah! So, I mean...
A good thing that came out of the show. For
Right,
you.
yes.
One good thing.
One good thing.
Jillian didn't have to scare it into you.
No, they didn't. It was the fake doctors. And it, like, I don't know if it was a midlife crisis or what, but, like, I was just happened to be doing the math of, like, 6 months till the day I turned 30. I was like, I'm going to get in shape. So, being a former pitcher in college, when we didn't have anything to do, we were kind of told to go run. So I was just like, I'll go run a mile. I know how to do that. Like, I know nothing else about health and fitness at this point for myself, but I'll go run a mile. And I made it 3 blocks. Thought I was having a heart attack. No, for real. I went back home and...
I'm sorry, that was...
Serious.
No.
3 blocks.
3 blocks.
That freaked me out,
and
too.
I went back home with the dogs, and was like holding my phone of like, do I call 911? Do I not? And I decided to risk death over embarrassment of somebody coming in and being like, no, man, you're just fat and out of shape. You're not dying. In this moment, you're not dying.
Yeah.
And I had, right or wrong, my parents weren't the best fitness role models. So it was just a cyclical thing growing up where I would watch my dad, again, air quotes, get in shape to officiate football. And then as soon as football season started, he would stop exercising. And then nothing would happen again until preseason. Then he'd get in shape again. So that's what I did for baseball and everything. So I would just get in shape for baseball, play baseball, and be done for the year. And so with this, I was just like, I don't really know what to do, but tomorrow I'll go out and run 4 blocks, right? Because I tried plenty of times to get in shape before, and it just never lasted. So I don't know what was really different about looking 30 in the eyes or anything, but yeah, it was different. And 4 blocks, then 5 blocks. The goal was to run 1 more block every day till I could run a mile. And finally, after how many ever days of 1 more block is a mile, I got it. And I don't know, something cemented at that point. And fitness became a substitute addiction for other things in my life. And then, I mean, fast forward 3 or 4 years, and then I rolled that into a career in the fitness industry now. So.
No, I'll give you credit because we do see a lot of crossover. You're exactly right. Addictions into almost like exercise disorders. But I'll never forget one time we were having coffee and you had made a comment about like somebody had came in, they were completely stressed, they hadn't slept the night before, and you just looked at them and said, there's no point in us working out. Let's just go do some yoga and let's deep breathe. And I think that's one of the things like with intuitive movement is like looking at where you're at right now, what's going to be in the best interest of your body and being able to bridge that together. So you're missing the funnest thing. Tell everybody your tagline and where you got that from.
Yeah, so do awesome shit is it's our mantra, our rallying cry, right? Like at one point,
already gonna be our quote. Just do awesome shit.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Right? We should all just find our awesome shit and do it. It doesn't have to be fitness. But in training in the gym, right? Like it had to be 6 or 7 years into it. I finally got fed up of people walking into my gym with the goal of, I want to lose weight.
Yeah.
I want to get skinny. I don't like X thing about my body, hence I'm here in front of you. Or they would come in to just workouts and be like, I need you to kick my ass because I was horrible this weekend.
Yeah, punish me today, would you?
Right? And so I don't believe that you are going to be consistent with anything that's tied to negativity. Like you can force your head under the water for a while, but at some point you're going to come up to breathe, right? And so do awesome shit came of just this idea, if you could find something in fitness that you loved, that was your awesome shit, that you would show up for it excitedly instead of, I gotta go work out today.
Yeah.
Right.
I hate myself, but I gotta go work out. Right? Like I was just tired of constantly dealing with that. And so that hashtag and phrase came up, and now I've gotten to the point where
this, right?
like really when I think it was about a year ago, we had this gal come in, friend brought her in, I'm sitting down as we're getting ready to work out. I'm like, what is your goal? And she's like, I just want to be skinny. Like, ugh.
How do we attain that
losing
goal?
weight is like one thing, but she just like went straight to skinny. And I was like, okay, what does that mean? Like, what, like, how would it make you feel? Okay, why can't we feel that way now? Just going through all those questions. I'm like, okay, so if we're gonna move forward, what is going to be your goal? She's like, I just want to be skinny. And I just, at that point, I looked at her like, I'm not the person for you. Because I'm not going to weigh you. I'm not going to talk to you about how you eat and your weight. And
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you, congratulations, it looks like you've lost weight. Like,
Yeah.
that's not my position to care. And so, yeah, Do Awesome Shit is kind of like taking me even to the next level of, I'm not even willing to have that in my gym, those conversations. Like we show up and it's about movement. It's about you connecting to your body and just having a better understanding of what it can do if you challenge it and pay attention to it.
And you go back, and I wish that there was more like proactive, positive coaching, because I think, all right, you'll hear kind of the old school mentality. Well, if you don't, then they're not going to. They won't find the motivation. But the coaches that inspired me to give them more were the ones that look me straight in the eye and say, I know you're capable of it. I know there's another level there. And so it was like, you do? Okay, I haven't found it yet. And so like, well, they must see something that I don't, rather than, if you don't do that, I'm going to make you run, or, punishment. So I wish that we'd see that start to evolve.
I was just thinking about kind of that too. When I was being recruited to run track at a college, my dad was so involved with that because he took that instead of like our athletic director was not very smart about it. And he's like, I really like the school, Kara. I think you should talk to them. He's like, it's the only school that didn't ask how tall you were and how much you weighed. Their first questions were about your academics, and then they asked about your performance. They never asked about your weight. All the other schools did.
Really?
Yeah.
That's insane.
And I was like,
Because
man,
that
I'm
automatically
fast.
equals
Does
your
that matter
sprint
how
time,
much?
right?
Yeah, I was a sprinter too. I was like, that's so weird to me. But yeah, that's why we ended up going to the school that I did.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, one of the reasons, not the only reason, but that's how I talked to them first. Yeah. But yeah, it's crazy.
So you've also kind of evolved in the way that you approach training, because you had a different name and then you kind of went into this greater you. Does that tie into your tagline as well?
A greater you? Yeah. I mean, that's originally, like, that was my first mantra, was as I was getting into my own transformation. My driving tagline, sentence, whatever, was work towards something greater. And that was just my personal driver at that point. And so as I was thinking about, leaving Prairie Life, what's the gym going to be called? It just came back. I went right back to that personal driver of work towards something greater. I was like, a greater you, right?
And that's why I'd love for anybody that's listening to that, is when they have those thoughts to really kind of put it on paper and then just pull back big lens. Like, what does that mean? When you think of thin, what does that mean? Achievement, in control, you're doing something to better yourself. Well, does it really need to be about the food or the movement? Or are there other things that are more value driven that can get you there, that are going to work long term and not shame yourself for it? So, well, now you have really kind of taken this full circle and gotten into specializing in soccer players, and then we'll kind of tell them your next thing. Why has that become like your new love?
Soccer players found me, right? Like, I did not, it was never my goal, right? Like, I was a baseball player, and I thought once I got my first training job that I wanted to train baseball players. Like, my two clients were, I was going to train baseball players and I was going to train the morbidly obese. I don't know, I hate to say this because I feel like such a shitty person, but in training, in training those who are at that place, like, it's just a level of patience I realize I don't have because we're not doing a lot of movement. And I'm not hit training and taking people up all over the place, but once I did have my first client, it was, we sat down and stood up out of a chair for most of the session. And I realized that patience wasn't for me.
Sure.
That's also why I'm not a stay-at-home dad. Because I realized that I don't have the patience to deliver an experience for my kids that they deserve, right? And then with baseball players, even though I was 12 years removed from playing baseball, I was like, when they couldn't do it right, it was just like, give me the damn ball. I will throw it myself.
You took over.
You do not know how to throw it. Just let me throw it. And I realized that was also not a healthy relationship for those kids that have this coach that just wanted to do it, right? So I completely stepped away from sports. I never thought that I would train athletes ever again. I found my niche in Gen Pop, females from 35 to 50, some older gentlemen sprinkled in there above 55. And that niche was awesome. I love it. They were there mostly to move, to just better themselves instead of hating themselves for the most part. So I love that niche. I was working towards opening up my own gym, and just this pro soccer player that went to the big box gym that I was at, had talked to like maybe 5 times, reached out to me on social media. He was like, hey, heard you're opening your own gym. Could athletes train out of there? And I thought he was asking me if he could like work there in the off season and train athletes that he knew, because he did a lot of one-on-one coaching. So like the first part of our conversations, like I'm talking to him as he's going to be a future like employer or
like it's going to cost you this.
Yeah, like talking about and like he's like,
what are you
so
talking about, man?
like confused, and I'm like, wait, what are we here for? He's like, I want you to train me. Like, oh shit. Okay, yes, I would. Yeah, totally, we can do that, right? So I started training him. A couple weeks into it, he's like, you care if I bring another guy and best friend? He's a goalkeeper. Yeah, duh, please, that'd be awesome. And so just like one after another, they'd come in, and next thing you know, I'm training like former U.S. national team players. Wow. And I'm like, this is pretty rad, right? Yeah. But it can't be my purpose, right? Air quotes, because purpose, in my opinion at the time, was like struggle. Like your purpose just couldn't be effortless and fun. Then I went through yoga teacher training, in which they told me that your purpose is effortless and fun. So then I had to just kind of like reevaluate, like, why am I working so hard at something that, I mean, I do love it. I love training Gen Pop clients and non-athletes. I call them athletish. They're my athletes and my athletish. Yeah. I love training them, but to convince somebody that fitness is important is hard work, because most getting people to take their health and wellness serious is, if everybody was like raising their hands like, I want to do it now, like there wouldn't be enough trainers in gyms. Sure. So we're having to really effort to convince people like, hey, your health and wellness is kind of a serious thing. Maybe you should act like that. So it's harder getting those folks in the gym. Whereas
that might change after.
I hope. God, I hope so.
Like
some of the simple things like sleep and hygiene.
Well, I think that's going to be so important to do some of those things right now, because we are so separated and isolated, and all the things are
and control the things that you can, even in your own health. I think sometimes, again, as always, we're black or white. Like either I'm going to be perfect, air quotes as you would say, with my health, or I'll screw it syndrome. There's no hope, rather than just doing little things like go walk 3 blocks at a time. Try to get an extra half an hour of sleep, but that stuff there's not instant payoff, and so it's like, man, not gonna do it.
Yeah.
Right.
You also see people don't know how to move. Tell us why you think that.
What do you mean by that?
We're just so disconnected, right, to ourselves. Sure. It didn't work, so I quit. Yeah. I did that with my fitness for a long time. And so trying to get people to reconnect to their bodies. I did it a little bit on the way down here in the car, right, because I knew this question was coming up. But never before would I really like connect with my body driving, right? Because we can listen to podcasts, we can listen to music, we can listen to books, like anything to take us away from
current situation,
being present, right? Yeah. And so I don't think we, like, just environmentally, we're not connected to our bodies. There's so much stimulus outside of our bodies going on. And then we sit all day, like just the environmental factors of this technology age that we're in. So many people just work from computers or work from their phones. If they're not, they're, in school sitting at a desk all day. So very little movement in that. Our comforts of driving everywhere. We're not in a really dense populated city like New York where people are at least walking to the subway. We're a car city. So we're driving everywhere, even to the CVS on the corner. We're still getting in the car driving. So people, I think, have just lost this connection to their bodies and how it can move and should move. So that's kind of my mission, is to get people to understand how to move better. And, kind of going back to the soccer players, like we have a couple of them that are like big time MLS players that don't understand really how to breathe, or it was never communicated in a way that they really understood it. So like this off season, had one of them in here working with us. Like, all right, day one, like everybody on their backs, we're going to breathe. It's like, what? We're going to what? But then just like teaching them how to breathe and how that breath we can use to create tension and stability, and how you carry that into then your resistance training, and then you're able to move more load because you are able to brace and resist force more. How that then carries over into more of their dynamic work, where the core was the last thing they were thinking about engaging when running or rotating, and then they're getting injured a lot. So is there a tie into that, and then understanding how to activate their foot one day. Like, what? We use our feet.
Yep. We interviewed a foot guy for that reason, because I had to learn how to use my feet again.
I had to figure out how to use my butt.
And your butt,
My butt, yeah.
Yep.
I lost
Sitting in these chairs.
I lost it.
Yeah.
Sitting in these chairs. The glutes get weak.
They do.
And now that I'm working with like youth athletes, I see it even more.
I bet so. Different issues coming up with the younger population because of this environment. Yeah.
Like they've never flexed and extended their spine before in some of them. Like,
right.
I don't say flex and extend because I know they don't know those as directional cues, but I'll give the directional cue and they'll look at me like so lost of, I have no idea how to move my spine. What did you just say? And I'll show them, and sometimes I'll even like take their hips with my hands and like rotate their pelvis forward, and then I'm like, lift your chest away from the floor, which is trying to get them into a proper hinge position. And you'd think I'd be like stabbing them in the kidney with the knife. Like they're in so much pain, and because I've never engaged the posterior chain in that way. It's just like, oh my God.
And it's so interesting how that can translate. So, obviously coach basketball, daughter plays basketball. So we started having her do some agility stuff, and it was amazing as the mom, then seeing her on the floor as the coach, like her ability, like in a crossover, to move more balance. And I'm worried because having been somebody that survived, I guess, ACL reconstruction, that I want her to be able to move more fluid, to prevent that and be able to be a more balanced athlete as well. And I know that's something that's near and dear to your heart. So tell us kind of about your new program, and what your big picture is for everybody in the area.
Yeah, so it really started with my female pro soccer player that I trained. I met her right before she got, released to return to play after her second ACL surgery.
Second.
Yeah, second, number 2. And so as soon as she was released, then we started working together. We've worked together almost 3 years now, and I mean, I love pretty easy, right? Like I feel people's energy, and I could fall in love with their energy really fast. And so I've got a lot of, just all of my clients I feel this love for, but something about JC and her drive to get back onto the field, to play a sport that she loves playing so much, and for really think it's 4 years now, she hasn't been able to play because of ACL surgeries, right?
Yeah,
so being connected with her, working her through back to playing, watching her, show up to her first, pro camp that she was actually going to be able to play a season on, and get tackled right or wrong too hard by a teammate in preseason and tear it again, but the imaging was non-conclusive. So she went through the whole season just trying to, play through it, basically. Yeah. And then towards the end of the season, just like, F it, I'm done. She came home early. We worked all off season and then went back preseason and tore it again. So had the surgery. And so just like seeing that, connecting with her, having a daughter of my own. I mean, she's 4.5. Like, she couldn't be farther away from playing soccer. She doesn't even really enjoy sports. I'm not trying to push sports, and I didn't even want to put like gender anything on my kids, but like my son, without me ever pushing him, like all he wants to do is play sports.
Sometimes they
And
find
my
it
daughter,
themselves. Yeah.
right, never wanted to push anything right or left on her, and she's the girly princess that wants to put on makeup and watch her brother play sports, right?
Yeah,
So she will likely
You need
never,
our cheerleaders too. They're
right,
just as important.
right.
They are.
But so she will never. She may never play sports, but it's just the idea of having a daughter and having so many female clients, and I'm not the only one that sits back and looks at the bigger picture and thinks deeper than surface level, right? But females are such an underserved population in every way, especially I think as we all sit here, the same age roughly is, you were likely never encouraged to go in and lift weights and do resistance training growing up, right? But the boys were told to go be strong, right? And so I am looking at JC, I'm looking at my daughter in the future, and I'm looking at numbers in soccer in general of just the rate of ACL tears being 4 to 8 times greater than the guys. And it's like something needs to change, right?
Sure.
I need to figure out a way to at least help the local high schools with information of, hey, these are the numbers, right? Like, part of it is going in to shock them of, look, you're 4 to 8 times more likely. It's not happening because of hard tackles. It's happening during non-contact plays, right? And
planting and moving.
right? And all of this is going to lead to like for your parents, it's an expensive surgery, especially if they don't have insurance. They're looking at a $20,000 surgery at that point. Rehab, like the surgery and rehab is painful, but just trying to be like, the hardest part is return to play. Like the mental, like
And the
getting
time
over
away
that
from it,
mental
yeah.
hurdle of the next time I do the thing that injured me, am I going to be able to do it?
Sure.
Right? And so we don't want this to happen. And then, there's so many reasons why this might be happening of, is it hormonal? Is it structural? Is it due to poor coaching, skills acquisition, but I look at it, I wish I had millions of dollars to do the studies, is the girls aren't encouraged when they're young to go in and lift weights and train. Like, it's starting to be okay with kind of CrossFit and the strong females being more of a presence. But the girls, I think what I would love to study is by not getting under a bar and learning how to decelerate load, which is their body coming down, landing and kicking, not learning that, but then we're not strengthening their soft tissues, right? Like their connective tissues. So when the boys are lifting weights, tendons and ligaments are also strengthening besides the muscles, whereas the girls aren't. And then they're freak athletes on the field. They're fast. Like, their muscles fire really fast. So is it that we just haven't given the tools and the strength of connective tissue to keep up with the muscle fibers firing that way? So just going out and talking to them about that, and then just trying to show them ways to protect the knee. I didn't really know it until a dozen years or so that, knee stability isn't in the knee, right? Knee stability comes from the ankle and the glutes and the hip, right? And so getting them to understand that,
Knees and toes,
right? And so
okay, go back to that.
we go back and looking at their knees caving in, and that's one of the hypothesized reasons why. And just like, you know how to keep this, you got to use your foot and you got to turn your glutes on. So just trying to go out and give them all of the information possible to be safe when they're out there. A lot of preseason talks we went and gave this year, and want to give more, and that
we'll be sure to put all that stuff in the show notes so that they can reach you and have you come out to their schools or clubs or any of the programs that may be available. So
I love it.
We always got to end with asking how you live out this fit philosophy, especially in these crazy days right now. How are you balancing performance, health, intellect, and, if capable, any time for yourself?
Yeah, right. So performance has been a struggle with bulging disc right now. It's getting better, though. So it is. It's just holding myself to my 7 a.m. training session, 4 to 5 days a week. And it looks different, and that's okay. Like it's moving the body, and that's what I'm all about. That's what I love about fitness, is just seeing how well I can move. Right.
Yeah.
So that's my performance. The health, nutrient-rich foods as much as possible, and enough chocolate to take the edge off, right?
Coffee.
Right, and coffee. I am one that it's intuitive for me. I don't count macros or whatever. It's like eat the rainbow, eat protein, eat carbs like Becca told me to.
Do it.
And then always have a bag of peanut butter cups from Trader Joe's in the freezer.
Oh, man.
Right? Like that's how we do the whole.
Okay.
Oh, I put mine in the freezer.
The freezer for sure, yeah.
Freezer.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got to.
There you go, Trader Joe's. You got free marketing.
I think they're fine.
Right. And then, just the intellect, like I'm a nerd. Like I love reading. I cap off every day with an hour to read something that is going to benefit usually my clients in some way. A lot of it's like the same thing. Like I can benefit from it too, but I really try to read something every night that's going to benefit others more than just me.
What are you reading right now?
Oh man, I forget. Greg Boyle. He wrote Tattoos of the Heart.
Yeah.
I don't remember what this book is called.
Do you like it?
I've never read Tattoos of the Heart, which is so funny that I remember that, because he refers to it a ton. I do love it. I do love it for a bunch of different ways. It's just giving me a different perspective now of just looking at the marginalized and like just be there with them and don't judge all the good stuff. We shouldn't be doing anyway. But it's written so well, and it's just like I've, since I'm reading like fitness, performance, mindset books, there's not a lot of laugh out loud moments in those books, but this one, like I found myself like chuckling as my wife's laying next to me and watching TV, and I'm like reading a book, and it's like, that feels good. I like that right now.
Yeah. Laughter's great medicine. Well, as always, it's lovely to see you.
Good to see you.
And we'll be sure to put all your information. And so, Queens
good stuff today.
And Kings, be sure to check Jason out. All right. Bye, Queens.
Today's episode is brought to you by yours truly. I'm excited to announce the releasing of my book, Finding Your Sweet Spot in Sport, Avoiding Relative Energy Deficit in Sport, also known as Red S, by optimizing your energy balance. Be sure to follow me on social media or go to my website, www.beccamccombel.com, to find out when the release date is set and when it'll be on Amazon. Bye, Queens.
For additional information on today's topic and guests, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Fit for a Queen. And
Hashtag Fit for a Queen.
Don't forget to rate us on iTunes. We can't wait for you to join us next time on Fit for a Queen.
Bye, Queens.